Jose. I had spoken to Betty and Josh Detter, and I would like to speak to Josh again, please, if you have a moment.
Well, I will try to transfer you, but I have no idea if he's over there.
Oh, that's just
So,
fine. Thank you, Miss Nyla. I
you
hope
know,
you. I hope you weathered the storm well.
we did.
Oh,
The town did fairly well as well. I don't live right in town, but even here in town, there was one tree that fell over, and it did go against a lady's house, but nobody was
oh.
injured and stuff. But as bad as it sounded, so we were blessed
Likewise.
compared to those people on the coast
Yes,
and
likewise.
Bahamas.
Yes, yes. Oh my gosh, yes. It's horrible. Anyhow, thank you for your time, and
Okay.
I'd love to speak to Josh, please.
All right, now I'll try to put you through.
Thank you, thank you.
Mhm.
This is Chief Detter.
Hi, Chief. Jose Melendez here. I just got off the phone with your mayor, and he says you do not have an attorney. Is there, is there somehow we can try to address this issue about reaching Corporal Mann?
Uh,
You said it was my opinion that he pulled us over unlawfully. I'm guessing that you had not yet seen the video, and that maybe now you have.
well, I hadn't paid any attention to the video. I know that Yemisi asked for it, and we gave it to them.
Okay, okay. Well, maybe if you wouldn't mind, I've sent you a link to the YouTube clip that shows where he pulled us over and explained to us several times about why he was pulling us over. Maybe that might be important, I guess, but I really would like to try to have some sort of communication with Corporal Mann so that we can have him maybe come to court and say what happened, because this, the embassy has never given us anything in writing other than a ticket that has the wrong statute.
Okay. I'm assuming you got the video from Yemisi.
Yeah, after they told us that they couldn't give it to us because it was under lock and key, and even though they had it, they tried to get my girlfriend to go through pre-trial intervention, and then when they said in open court that we couldn't have it because it was under lock and key, the person who they said had it under lock and key, Chief Gregory Alexander, uh,
Hmm.
berated my girlfriend loudly in open court and then threatened us. Now, it can be heard on my recording, but I'm hesitant to release that recording to the court because my guess is that Judge McKinney might slap me in jail for 6 months for contempt. But they had
Well,
microphones on, so I'm guessing that when they give us the recordings from the hearing that I was at, that we'll be able to hear Captain Gregory Alexander threatening us.
well, yeah, I was going to say, most judges that I know are not happy if people are recording in court.
Yeah, but
That's,
Sled now has told me that I
that's
should. Sled now has told me that I should because now that I've provided them with some more evidence, they say that if what I've documented so far is true, then we have a huge civil case, and that I most certainly must record this next hearing. And also, Deputy Director of the South Carolina Courts Administration about popped when I told him that Judge McKinney agreed with the public defender that there would not be any public defender for us. And then he called them up and talked to them for a little while and called me back and told me when I go back, it would be wise for me to record.
the, the, from court administration said
Yeah,
that?
Robert McCurdy. You wanted me to
Yeah.
play his voice saying that?
What's that?
Would you like me to play the recording I have of him and Captain Skip Mitchell from SLED telling me to record?
Oh, no.
Oh.
I'll take your word for it. Again, most judges I know,
Yeah.
has,
Yeah, I get it. I get that I can go to jail for this, but I don't know what else to do. They've been investigated 3 times by the FBI. Captain Gregory Alexander got a promotion after stealing $10,000. The judge, before I'm to go before, stole $5,000 in concert with her sister, who stole more than $5,000. As I understand, under hand in one, or hand of one, is that your rule? That they should have been charged with a felony, but she got a 30-day suspension. As I told your mayor just a few minutes ago, she got a paid vacation.
mm,
Yeah.
mean, I can't
I
comment on
know,
that.
I know. Just what I'd like to do is have you and Corporal Mann and perhaps the mayor together watch the video. Just watch the YouTube clip, maybe. That way you don't have to bother downloading from the hard drive or something and burning a DVD. They did not want to release this DVD to us and only handed it to us after Captain Gregory Alexander announced his presence in court by threatening my girlfriend.
Hmm.
Now, the reason I know it was a threat, Captain, is that I can't afford attorneys, but I am a data scientist. So I downloaded artificial intelligence legal research software. And when I type in the phrase, "you know who I am," amazingly enough, hundreds of cases pop up where people that are witnesses have been threatened. And the people that say, "you know who I am," in a threatening tone, as Captain Gregory Alexander can be heard loudly saying in open court, are charged with threatening witnesses. We had already filed with the FBI and the Hampton Sheriff.
Okay.
So I would like it if you would please have Corporal Mann respond somehow to my calls and emails. I've been unable to get Yemisi at all to respond to me in writing at all. Corporal Strauss, the prosecuting officer, but not an attorney, his voicemail box is always full, and he has never responded to any of our emails in writing. He did respond to my girlfriend's email when she wrote, as I instructed her to, that with respect, I'm going to quote what she wrote, with respect, the suppression of exculpatory evidence is a felony. He called in a few minutes when she wrote that. But I haven't heard from him since.
What was the date on this again?
You want the date of the stop?
Yes.
July 16, 2019 at mile marker 37. Would you like me to send you the ticket numbers, sir?
No, I can get that. I just figured if you had it in front of you, that helped me find it quicker.
Yes, sir. Now, I don't know what else to do. You know,
Okay.
I work hard at this. I've put 70 hours a week. I'll probably lose my position as Chief Technology Officer for Skydive University, the world's largest skydiving training facility. But my girlfriend's going to lose her job unless this is adjudicated with her being innocent. And I may not have all the right lingo or be using the right terms. But the maximum fine, according to your state, is $200. And we were each charged $615 at
Well, see,
a
I found that too in the law because I'm not from South Carolina, and I thought that was kind of weird. But there's an actual.
Yeah, I found it. It's section 47 something. I've got it right in front of me. I'll pull it up for you if you want. But the law that was misprinted on my ticket, by the way. When you see the ticket, you tell me if there is such a law in South Carolina as 0370 capital D in parentheses and then 4 in parentheses. It does not exist. There is a 370 lowercase d. And as a data scientist, I might be able to excuse the leading 0, but there's no capital D section. So between them not allowing us to have a public attorney and between them suppressing exculpatory evidence and attempting to give her pretrial intervention knowing that they had that exculpatory evidence and them not giving us the rest of the videos from the other cars and 6 other things that I won't bore you with, I think this should be dismissed. Now, if it's not, that's fine. We might lose in court and I might go to jail for contempt. But I'm sitting for the bar with the money I take from Yemisi.
Well, and I'm going to guess I already know the answer to this, is have you talked to Strauss himself and said, look, here's the deal, she'll lose her job if she pleads to this.
Yeah, they snicker when we say things like that. My girlfriend wrote this heartfelt, very carefully worded. It would have been perjury if she had misstated it, my guess is, to any document to a judge, but she did not misstate her case. And she explained carefully to the judge that she's a single mother who's barely making ends meet, that they took her last month's payment where she was just about to refinance the mortgage and now no longer can do so. She's the girl next door, Josh.
Yeah.
A robotics teacher. She teaches third grade kids and she doesn't know what to tell them anymore about the law now that she went through this. She told me that she used to be dismissive of my claims that people like me or darker, they won't get treated the same. And she used to be dismissive of this. But now that she got pulled over, and we're a mixed race couple, so she saw what happened. We could tell from, Captain Lodeholt's responses that he wasn't very happy about us even talking. She attempted to lawfully defend herself, is not belligerent. You listen to the video. You can listen carefully to the video despite the traffic that's going by and hear her talking when Captain Lodeholt, slaps the handcuffs on her. If you can get the other videos from the other cars, from Captain Lodeholt's vehicle or Corporal Strauss's vehicle, you will hear Captain Lodeholt tell me that the reason that she was arrested was that she was interfering with their business. Yeah, that's what I said then. He told me at mile marker 37 on July 16th in front of Corporal Strauss's car that I'm guessing the video was rolling, or at least the body microphones were rolling to it. He told me that Captain Lodeholt, did not arrest Elizabeth, that Corporal Strauss did. Well, that misrepresentation is going to bite them, because in open court, I was able to get Corporal Strauss to admit, after considerable hesitation and demurring, that it was true that not Corporal Strauss, but Captain Lodeholt arrested Elizabeth. So she wasn't even able to face her accuser in court. We went back there, and the car broke down on the way back. So I had to fix the car, but I was able to fix the car, and we're going back on the 19th to see if this has been dropped. I'm sorry, you go ahead and talk.
When the next court date was. It's the 19th?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I would appreciate it if you were there, because I think there ought to be witnesses with badges that aren't thugs, you know?
I see. I mean, as of now, my schedule's clear. What time is court?
I don't know. They wouldn't give me anything in writing at all. They've refused outright. When you listen to the recording, if they'll let you listen to the recording of my hearing where we were not sworn in, but Corporal Strauss admits that he was not the arresting officer, they outright refused to give me a receipt for the Rule 5 evidence that they gave us, a receipt or any documentation that I had been there, or, I guess nor is the proper word, but I don't know, or any paperwork that said what date or time we were to return. When we review the recording, it sounds to me like she's saying the 19th, so we plan to get up there a day before, and I don't know, do they have court the day before the 19th? If they do, I'm going to record that too and see if the FBI will sit down with me and the Hampton Corporal Hernandez, Sheriff Hernandez.
I would suggest maybe Googling, does the court have a website, or the police department mention its court dates? Or
no, they won't. They don't post anything online. According to Clerk of Court Billy Sanford, I think it's Sanford, yeah. He says that we don't do that stuff because we don't want to be on the YouTube. He also said that we didn't have to worry about any bad apples when we raised concerns that our first Google searches for this judge and their town were all about improprieties, embezzlement, theft, investigations by the FBI, stealing from people that were stopped unlawfully. I mean, he said we wouldn't have to worry about any bad apples, but that he'd only been there a short while and didn't have any knowledge of such things. However, the audit from the state auditor, George, I think it's P. Kennedy III, the cover letter of that audit is addressed to the same Billy Sanford, and it tells them that they are not following the law when they charge more for the bond than the maximum fine. Now, I know you've told me that you've found this to be normal operations. You know, that's the way it is. But according to South Carolina law, the one that's closest to the misprinted ticket is not 0, but just 370 lowercase d in parentheses, number 4 in parentheses, and that says that the maximum fine must not be over $200.
Well, what they're doing there, and Bob from court administration should have told you.
He did.
What they call a judge's calculator.
Yeah, he did. He said something like this, but he couldn't cite the law. I found it, and what I'm finding is that part of the money, ironically, goes to the Victims Assistance Fund, the same Victims Assistance Fund that Judge McKinney stole from with her sister, then Clerk of Court of Varnville. The Clerk of Court that George Kennedy, the state auditor, wrote to, along with Billy Sanford, who was not clerk then, was Misty Reardon. She was arrested by now Chief Gregory Alexander, for stealing embezzling $7,000. It must have come to some surprise to her that he would have been arresting her when he was given a pass for stealing $10,000. His chief at the time stated that it was unknown who stole that $10,000. But perhaps maybe rehashing these things isn't important. You know,
I mean, I can't.
Yeah, but if my case, if I had priors similar to this, you know, I'm pretty sure that it would have been raised in court that I had already done stuff like this. But it's not okay for me to raise it because I could go to jail for saying the truth in court and lawfully defending myself. That's called retaliatory prosecution. And what happened to Elizabeth C. Wallace was a retaliatory arrest, as you will see when you watch and listen to the video as she gets arrested. She asks for her Miranda rights and is laughed at. I asked for a phone call to speak to a lawyer, and I was laughed at by Trooper Mall and your Corporal Mann. They outright laughed at me. Corporal Mann, interestingly enough, and I remember this in person, but it wasn't until I reviewed the video that it really bugged me, that when I told him that I had just lost my father, you know, my father died in my hands. And that's what he said. Okay. And then later, as if he thought better of it, he said, oh, and again, I'm sorry for your loss. So Corporal Mann, I can get that he can lie to civilians, but I don't see how he can lie to police officers and a trooper. And I'm pressing that.
Okay.
So you can consider this my official report, and I would like it if you would take this report of crimes committed by Corporal Mann in the form of lying to police officers, to wit, Trooper Mall and Captain Lodholt, and probably Corporal Strauss, who has yet to release the Rule 5 evidence that he said in open court he would give us in 10 days. We filed on the 17th for that Rule 5 evidence, so it certainly has been longer than the 30 days. And also, interestingly enough, that 30 days was beyond the date of our court hearing. So I don't see how anybody can get a fair hearing.
I'm not sure. Is Yemassee in
Yes.
County?
Yes, I talked to the deputy solicitor, who also laughed who told me that, well, basically, I've got a video clip. I'll send you the audio from my conference call with Deputy Solicitor, the 14th Solicitor. I don't know if it was Duffy.
Okay. But I was going to say, if you go to the clerk of Hampton County, you should be able to apply for a public defender.
Yes, and if I give them $40, then I'll be hitchhiking to the. I am living hand to mouth. It isn't until I get. It isn't until I get the $2,000 or $3,000 from my father's insurance policy that I'll be able to make a deposit on a criminal attorney just to handle either my case or Elizabeth's, but not both. Interestingly enough, now 7 lawyers have told me that it's illegal for them to take both cases. However, the now former public attorney Ian Dysack, or Daysack, I don't know how to say his name, told me that he could take our case for $2,000. And he could take both of our cases for that. When we called him, when he called back to tell Elizabeth that she was not going to be assigned an attorney, he told her that the reason was that the lower courts are not following the law with regard to providing public attorneys, and that we were to beg, and he repeated, knowing he was being recorded, he said, beg Judge McKinney, for dismissal on the grounds that they are not following the law in this regard. Judge McKinney agreed with that statement. And then, as I told your mayor a few minutes ago, after saying that it was true and saying sua sponte, I think they say in your lingo, in open court, the judge volunteered that it was true that the lower courts are not providing public attorneys in these cases. She then, it appeared to me that a dark cloud went over her face, and she had just heard herself admitting committing a crime. And she said that we had then offended the court. And Chief Detter, it was very difficult to leave there without getting arrested for contempt of court. But I was still able to get the DVD after that. Just one DVD, but it is exculpatory and shows that Corporal Mann did pull me over after I did signal. I think by the amount of time, if I was going 71 miles per hour, would have been 94 feet. So within the margin of error, my guess is that I legally signaled before changing lanes. But my second and serious contention here, guess, is that you've only got a mile and a half to pull somebody over before you got to stop and turn around. So you might as well just do whatever it takes.
I had not heard that.
Well, it's a mile. He pulls up, and he pulls us over after I signal. And I know you haven't seen the video, because otherwise you'd say, yeah, Jose, I saw that video, and I understand now that it is, or why you, Jose, believe that it was an unlawful stop. And maybe you can explain how I did signal, but that it was a lawful stop, but I don't know. He told 2 responding officers that we did not signal before changing lanes. It's not true.
Okay. Well, it's, again, I'm just spitballing here, but, it's possible that he did not see you use your turn signal.
Sure. Except for you can see that his eyes are on the car. In the video, it shows both my angle and his angle.
Uh-huh.
So there's another case like this where the officer that pulled over the person was pressed in court as to whether or not that person had executed a proper lane change. And the question of distance came up, and that officer was asked, how many feet were in a yard, and he said 12. So I'm hoping that maybe Corporal Mann might get his math correct when he comes in front of the court, if he's asked by the judge to come before a court. Judge McKinney says that Ian Dasak, the attorney, will be there, but that he will not be our attorney. That's what she said, according to my recording.
Well, I mean, unless you don't qualify for a public defender.
Well, we didn't get that far, though, because the attorney called up to say it doesn't really matter if you qualify. I'm not going to send $40 plus $7 in postage to make sure that I get a copy of my return receipt requested when I need that $47 to get to Yemassee again.
I see.
They're thieves, Captain, and I'm calling you to report state and federal crimes. Do you accept my report of these state and federal crimes as I allege them, sir?
I will accept it.
Thank you
I will
kindly.
look into it, and I will get back with you to let you know what I find. Just so that I'm clear, your allegation is that you were pulled over wrongfully because you did use your turn signal.
The word I used was unlawfully, but if you wish to change my report in any way, I will duly note that.
You were unlawfully pulled over for not using your signal when indeed you did use your signal.
Well, that's the fact. In fact.
Okay.
Yes, Josh. Come on in. All right, my girlfriend's here. I should probably go unless you want to speak to her.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
All right, Josh. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, and perhaps I'll see you on the 19th.
Yes, I would very much appreciate that, at least for the few moments before I go away for 6 months.
Let's hope that doesn't happen.
Thank you kindly, Captain. Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Was that on the